Unfiltered. Like you're in another world, like you zone out. You know what I'm saying?
Welcome back to another installment of Unfiltered with Georgii Speakman. Today, we're talking all things LinkedIn with Natasha Walstra, who is a leading LinkedIn strategist and business coach. Natasha teaches entrepreneurs, amongst many other things, and executives on how to turn visibility into revenue without resorting to sleazy sales tactics and cold outreach, which I don't know about you, but I'm well and truly done with. Natasha and I talked about this the other week. So I want to welcome Natasha to the show before we dive in. How are you today, my dear?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me, Georgii.
Yes, of course. Of course. I've been looking forward to it. I learned a lot from our conversation the other week. And I think, as I was sharing with you, LinkedIn for me, I first joined it in the early 2000s, back in Australia when it was proving itself to be a very valuable tool. You could access dialogues and introductions and conversations with CEOs and leading C-suite executives very easily. Today, I kind of see it more as a content zoo, but I want to give you the opportunity to change my mind and potentially others on how to best utilize and capitalize off and on LinkedIn, as a leading platform still now and today, without having to deal with and pursue cold outreach and all these things that a lot of us have obviously become very tired and lethargic in doing. So I'm going to hand the mic over to you.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's funny actually you say the things on LinkedIn and off LinkedIn, because my approach actually is I'm on LinkedIn to get off of LinkedIn.
I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to spend all my time on there and become a content creator or an influencer at all. My whole point is I'm a business owner leveraging content to grow my business. And it's a very different approach where I'm not at the whim of the algorithm, where I'm trying to build an audience. I mean, of course I'm building an audience, but it's not about the impressions and the likes and the follower count. It's about building real relationships. And when you do that and you actually start conversations and get off of the platform and actually do the thing you say you do, you end up getting more visibility by default because you're actually the domain expert that you say you are off LinkedIn as well, right? And I think people just they forget that. They lose sight of what the purpose of it is.
I can totally hear you on that. Break it down for the everyday human on where and how not only to sort of start or like how or provide examples of how you would potentially guide users through your services from a consulting and strategic standpoint, to help them arrive at this same sort of trajectory and I guess position, so they're not sitting there day after day, hour after hour doing that old school cold outreach. But further, how do you handle like mitigating uh these like sort of bots and the spam that we all are now very accustomed to experiencing on LinkedIn, so we can accomplish the results that you're very much setting out to achieve for clients?
Sure. That's a great question. So the method I have, I call it the relationship growth method. And there's 3 pillars to it in order to have a really successful LinkedIn presence. The first pillar, it's your personal brand, right? Your profile in this instance. And so one of the first things I always suggest to people is like, what does your profile show? Is it showcasing your values, who you are today, not some buttoned up version of you or corporate version of you or an AI version of you, right? Like, does it represent your values, your essence, right? And I think that's a really, really important piece that so many people overlook as to, I think we put it on a back burner, our profile, right? But when you go to it, are you proud of it? Yeah.
Sorry, my dog rearranging my microphone here for me. Yeah, no, I'm totally guilty of that. Like, I can't even remember the last time I put out a LinkedIn post personally, because it's just, I've been avoiding it altogether. Just because I'm like, oh, what's the point at this juncture? It's just, as I said, a content zoo. Everyone's trying to be heard. Too many people are writing clear ChatGPT curated posts, which are super annoying because people are not taking the effort, taking the time to edit accordingly with their own voice. So they're pumping in content, pumping out a ChatGPT voice, and still, just dropping it into LinkedIn like we weren't we're not like we weren't born yesterday, or were built. What's the saying? Like we were born sort of yesterday, on this, and so like you can see and read when it is clearly a ChatGPT post.
Yeah.
So, can we double down a little bit on when you're speaking to finding that value, reaching that value, designing that value, curating that value? What does that actually look like outside of AI driven posts?
Well, one thing that's great about LinkedIn that's they're pushing right now with the algorithm is that they're starting to suppress AI slop, right? These types of posts that you're talking and referring to, it's not about this, it's about this or about that. Here's the thing, and here's the shift or this matters. All those things they're starting to actually suppress it, which is a good thing long term for everybody. That you really do need to be much more thoughtful of the content you're putting out there. But in line with that, like, what is the content that you're putting out that can't be written by AI, right? Like, that is a filter that I use before I post anything is, could AI have written this? Because if yes, that means my competitor could have, and it means my 7-year-old nephew could have. And so really thinking about, the value you provide is your experience. What are you doing every single day with your clients, with your prospects, with your peers, right? The stuff that my hack for this actually is just look at your calendar, talk about the things that you're doing and share that, because again, AI can't come up with that. And it's what people want to hear because it's what you're doing in real life.
One thing that you've just touched on, which I think is drastically overlooked in these types of consulting services in which we provide, is strategy. It's a very common word. It's an overused word, but it's an undervalued approach. And like when you're going through that whole process to really double down on auditing the existing landscape or current sort of client state of play, but then launching into strategy and really nailing that. So, what's some of the process or questions that you go through with clients through that strategic stage and phase to help them arrive at like what matters and the how, why, where, all the things as part of your approach?
Sure. I mean, a really basic question you need to be asking yourself is, what do you want to be known for? Right? Like that, very simply, it's not some extravagant long
Right.
paragraph pitch of some sort, right? It's like, what do you want to be known for? And that's what you need to be creating content towards, that what your profile needs to be speaking towards. It needs to be the conversations that you're having is about that thing. And I don't mean that in like you need to niche down and only speak on this specific topic only, right? And like hyper niche down. I think that's important if you're, again, a content creator selling a low cost digital course, like that's important, right? Whereas most of us, it's really more about what is it that you want to be known for. And it's almost like I ask that to clients, and it I don't want to say like gets emotional, but it's hard to, I think a lot of people really struggle with that, right? They don't know how to articulate what it is they want to be known for. And that's the foundational piece to all of this, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
100%. It's in the work that I do. Like I always start with the brand architecture piece. And a part of that is doubling down on what is the founder's story. Whether you want to be front and center of your company, startup brand, whatever, or not, you still really have to have a clear, um, you know, image and story around who you are, what you're doing, and why, and all the rest. So I would concur and support that wholeheartedly. In today's day and age, it is so critical to maximize interoperability and to have an interconnected digital ecosystem. While you do specialize and focus on LinkedIn, how do you advise clients and also strategize against all the other social media platforms as well, which intrinsically have to link to the business and in turn, sort of feed back into in and out of and support LinkedIn and everything that's happening there activity wise. So how do you what's your approach to that? What's some of your best gems, some greatest your sort of great advice that you would like to share or do share with clients?
Sure. Yeah, that's a really great question, because LinkedIn is just a piece to this, right? Like at the end of the day, we have to get them off of LinkedIn still and onto calls and into our ecosystem, like you're saying. And so for me, actually, the most valuable thing that I have in my business is my email list, my newsletter. That's more converting than my actual post on LinkedIn, right? It's bringing people into my world, nurturing those relationships, and then converting them through there, right? Actually, you know, turning them into bringing it from cold to warm to client, right? Like that is the whole system here. How do you get people onto your email list? Yes, LinkedIn's a part of that, but also having a really valuable lead magnet, right? Something that people, like, we have so many tools at our fingertips right now to create really valuable things easily, right? Like if you think it, you can build it. And so create a lead magnet. That's something that is so much of value that brings, again, people into your world. They start trusting you a little bit more. That's definitely part of this whole ecosystem. But when it comes to other social platforms as well, like you're already creating the content. The way I look at this, and I am no Meta Instagram expert at all. I really don't use it much at all. But because I'm already creating content, and the type of content I create is thought leadership, authority building type of content, it does translate well to Instagram. And so I actually just repurpose my content directly onto my Instagram. Again, it's not optimized for Instagram, but it is working. I get engagement from it, and I'm getting opportunities from that too, right? Like I don't spend time on there, and I'm not trying to become an Instagram person as well. LinkedIn's my lane. I'll stay there. But it's working. It's another way to reach people who are hanging out more on Instagram than they are on LinkedIn, for example. So just thinking through like, how can you repurpose some of this content and use it on other channels is really powerful. But more importantly, where are your people hanging out, right? Like if it's not like you need to be everywhere, right? Pick one or two platforms where they are and just focus on that.
No, I would definitely agree with that. And also it's industry, sector and industry specific too. And like, yeah, where do you find your most joy? Where are you going to be most motivated? Yeah, so I totally hear you on that. In an age where AI and AI agents are going bananas, and we've got multiple platforms like OpenClaw, Claude, you name it. How are you handling the production or reproduction of content, leveraging agents, and just AI in general? And when clients are playing in that space and or want to talk about it and or want to explore it and or want to integrate it, how are you approaching the solution for them? And are you finding yourself having to sort of provide training and education around a lot of that stuff? But I think it's interesting how the agents are sort of able to run a lot of this stuff for us these days. So how are you advising clients on all of that? How does AI play a role in the work that you do?
So I'm all about using AI to amplify our voice, right? And always start with my original thought. And
Yeah,
so I use Claude. Claude is my main go-to.
yeah,
I love it, and I actually help my clients create a Claude bot that's for them. So creating a Claude project and then learning its voice and having specific instructions that are geared towards LinkedIn to help with post writing. So the way that I use it is actually I use Whisperflow. Are you familiar with that tool? It's
I'm
amazing.
actually no, I'm not.
Okay. It's great. It's for dictating. Like it turns out I've learned recently that I'm a verbal processor. And so speaking my ideas is just much easier than typing it oftentimes. And so I speak my post into my Claude bot, and then
Awesome.
it helps turn it into a post based off of, the instructions that I've given it. And so all of my clients get a custom Claude bot to them. It has my framework, my content framework in there as well. So it's one of those things that just streamlines the process to make it so much easier. Because again, most of us, myself included, like I'm not a content creator. I'm not a writer. That's not my trade at all. I'm, I recognize I need to create content though. And so AI helps me articulate my ideas and thoughts in a better way. So I'm all for using it that way. But yeah, it's really powerful when done right. The problem is, again, so many people, like you're saying, there's AI slop everywhere, and such a problem with that. So that's one area, but like also just using it, when I mentioned about looking at your calendar for ideas for content. Well, what about the transcripts that you have from your calls? Take those and put it into your Claude or whatever tool you're using, and then pull out
Yeah,
the themes and questions from it, and then create content that way. And so you can create agents where they're automatically pulling your transcripts and turning it in, putting it into your agent so that it's spitting out every week. Here's the content you can be putting out, right?
that's awesome.
Yeah. So
I love that as just one, I'm sure, of many tactical plays. What are some other sort of like smart, exciting, ideas, ideation that clients could potentially be thinking about, or that they can benefit from in utilizing your services?
And gosh, so think so many different things on that. I appreciate you asking. My whole point, like you're saying in the beginning, is I don't do any cold outreach, right? It's all about
I
Re-
remember our conversation. I was
yeah,
like, I refuse if I have to do. I never. No, no, yeah. I
yeah,
think the last like 12 to 18 months or even longer, I refuse to do cold outreach. I
yeah.
just never. I even hate the follow up, to be honest, these days.
It sucks. Well, it's ick. Like, it doesn't feel good. And you
Yeah.
see what I receive. I'm like, why would I would never say anything like that. So the system that I have, what we do is create signals of intent, right? Which includes profile views, like likes, followers, company page followers, that sort of thing, right? And I mean, I think I've listed about 15 different signals that you can see, especially specifically on LinkedIn. And we act on those signals of intent. So we're creating more through our profile, through our content, and then we're actually taking action on them by initiating conversations, which most people don't do. But they're not cold, they're warm. They're responding to people who quietly raise their hand and saying hi, right? And that's what's so valuable about this, is because it doesn't feel like you're doing sales, because you're just having conversations with people who are, have put some level of intent out there into the world. But again, it's if it's hard for us who are creating content a little bit and have been doing it some time here, if we're struggling to get into the DMs, imagine somebody who's not creating content or showing up on there, how hard it is for them to initiate the
Oh my God.
conversation. So you're actually doing them a favor. And so reframing that as, it's most of the time people have a lot of things they want to say. Actually, I have a client, for months, literally she was struggling to do the DMs. And finally I had this DM I told her to say, when somebody views her profile, she's like, there's no way anyone's going to respond to this. Anyways, the first time she sends it, somebody responds back 4 paragraphs exactly why they viewed her profile and what they were paying attention to and that sort of thing, and then jumped on a call from that, right? And it just goes to show, like, people want to talk, but it's uncomfortable, it's hard to do it. And so you're doing them a favor by
Totally.
initiating it. Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, LinkedIn has been running strong for a really long time, but what happens if it just disappears tomorrow?
That's why my email list is so important, and why I've been building that one as much as I can, because I actually was thrown into LinkedIn jail. And I still have no idea why. It was crazy because I don't use any automations. I have no extensions or anything like that. But it kind of threw me off, because I was like, "Oh crap! If LinkedIn disappears tomorrow, that's the problem." But again, it's all about building relationships. And I have a strong email list, very highly converting, of people who have been following me and connecting with me. And I've built that space with them. And so for me, I'd probably have to find a new platform, of course. But the point of this is to build that owned media, like your email list, and get them off of LinkedIn. That's why I really do mean it. Like, I'm on LinkedIn to get off of LinkedIn. And that's where real magic actually happens.
I love that because um, you hear it all the time where creators' accounts have been taken down for different reasons, and it's somewhat out of everybody's control half the time. But there is that risk of it happening, and so it's sort of like, what cautionary measures can and should you put in place before that can happen? Um, what are you most excited about for the future here? Let's just say other social media platforms and what have you come to life. Just what's your vision for the future here, your own business, but also the value that you can potentially and add to and for clients.
I just kicked off my 5th cohort today, which means I've got 75 women in the community. And it's so exciting to see us all growing our businesses.
By the
Sorry?
way, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. It's exciting. It's so, what we're building here, it's empowering, because all of us are doing really cool, badass shit. Excuse me. And
You can swear on this
and
podcast. That's why it's called Unfiltered. Go
that's
for your
it,
life.
awesome. Like, we're doing really cool things, and by showcasing it in a way that isn't show off or vanity ego, but
Yeah.
showcasing your true expertise and the things that you're doing with your clients and how awesome that is. So it's empowering, it's sustainable, right? Because we're all busy running businesses, being moms, being partners, all the things, right? And you don't have to spend hours on the platform, right? If you're committing 20 to 30 minutes a day, even, or an hour, 2 hours a week, like, you're going to see results from that. And it's profitable. Like, this is how you are going to bring in real business opportunities. It's through trust, through relationships, right? And so having the opportunity to work with this many women and help them grow their businesses as well, it's amazing. Like, and I love it. And so I'm really excited to see how this will continue to build and grow as I grow it as well, obviously, but just even the collaborations and things that are happening within the community, it's amazing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on that note, how would you advise your clients to build community outside of LinkedIn? What does that look like now and today? Because there's LinkedIn groups, you've got the same on Facebook. There's a lot of different stuff happening in the social digital ecosystem. Do you have any tips, tricks, advice on how to leverage these existing communities to get that mass visibility and reach?
I am totally building plane while flying it. so, so it's interesting because the hub that we're using for my community, it turns out not to be the right one for us. So I actually used Claude to build out my own app and my own onboarding for the cohorts. So that's been sort of like a process for me in that sense. But I mean, really the biggest piece to this, and I think why I have such high retention with it and why people are showing up to the office hours after the cohort part is done is because they have access to me. It really is about connection and making myself
Yeah.
available to people. I don't have there's no digital course. They don't go in and then they have to watch some videos on their own. It's like, no, you have access to me. We're meeting every week, twice a week if they want to, for the cohort and then the office hours. But I'm available to them, right? I'm not outsourcing the things. I don't have them AI agents taking over for me. Like I'm very much supporting and providing the value and doing this alongside them. Like I practice everything that I preach, everything that I learn, I share with them, and I'm doing it all in real time. I'm just a little bit ahead of them.
I mean, I love that. I love that you're using and leveraging AI. It's obviously the right thing to do, but there's still a hell of a lot of humans out there and executives that haven't even started their journey, that are still threatened by AI, intimidated by AI, and fervently against AI. But what would be your clear sort of advice on having that relationship with AI, how to overcome that blockage or barrier to entry, and kind of like where to start? Where would be the most effective place to start for those that haven't started that journey just yet?
I think having an open mind is the biggest part to this because I think a lot of people are intimidated by what it can do, but what all you have to do is talk to it. Like the way I think about it is just as a thought partner, basically, right? And when I had issues with my onboarding process, I went into my client. I said, "Hey, I'm having struggles with this. Here's what I'm trying to build." And it walked me through how to build a website and a whole hub. And it's not like I don't know how I did it necessarily, but it talked me through it and I worked together with it. Right. So it guided me. And that's how you want to be viewing it, as like having discussions with it.
Mhm,
Obviously, I'm not saying on the emotional therapy side, which I know a lot of people are doing that as well, but like if you're stuck with something, say what it is and then work through that as a thought partner.
mhm.
We're not used to speaking to things that way, and I think that's why it's uncomfortable potentially. But if you just like ask a few questions and get going that way, it's going to open your mind into ways you never thought about. And that's why I say, like, if you think it, you can build it. Like if you have an idea about something, ask, how can I go about building this? And you can. It's so cool.
I mean, that's it. The power is literally in our hands to create. And if you build it, they will come. And you can start by asking really dumb questions because guess what? No one's going to be judging you, and you can start your journey any way you wish. So I love that. Thank you for that share. We're coming on close to our little time together. And so I wanted to open up the conversation to any final sort of thoughts, tips, tricks, advice, any gems or words of wisdom that you wish to impart today that you feel will inspire your, future audiences, future clients and customers.
Don't be scared to be more you, show more of you. Like the whole point of what you're trying to do with your presence on LinkedIn is bring more of your essence to your presence, right? Like that is what's most powerful because AI, yeah, right? But because yeah, I mean, it's kind of that simple. Like I went to an event last month and somebody said to me, "You are just you're the same in person as you are on LinkedIn." I'm like, exactly. Like, that's the whole point. We're trying to be, and I hate to use the word authentic because I feel like it's lost its meaning a bit, but you want to be real. There's no reason to perform. That's exhausting anyways. But what you're trying to do is like, why are people working with you over the hundreds, thousands of other people they could work with? It's because of you. Let's show more of you.
How I love that. And how does one's personal energy come through? We've probably largely sort of touched on it in moments throughout this dialogue, but coming back to the authenticity piece, you're right. It's an overused word. Everyone talks about it, or the performative stuff in AI and or just on social media. Period. But um, that essence, like, how do people just like come back to that and trust that?
I think about when you go to meet somebody in real life or you're going to a networking event, let's say, you're able to read the room
Mhm.
because of the vibe that they're putting off, whatever they're carrying themselves, what they're wearing, the energy that they're literally the frequency that they have, right? And so it's very multidimensional. And that's what's hard about LinkedIn, right? Is that it's one dimensional. It's hard to read the room on LinkedIn, but you can make it easier. So, what are those things about you, about your energy, about the way you carry yourself? How can you find a digital version of that and show that on LinkedIn, whether it's through colors, whether it's through the right type of wording, and stuff like that, that you can really plug in and make it feel like they're hearing you when they're reading your profile.
Oh, I like that. I like that very much because there's actually lots of different ways people can tap into their own authenticity by thinking outside of the box and using lots of different, I don't know, modalities to communicate and express themselves. I want to say that's already been happening, but I think it's just a really good reminder because, again, in this, I'm calling LinkedIn the content zoo for now, meaning that there are loads of opportunities to still leverage the platform to make great use out of it, hence why your services are very much in existence to help guide customers, and all the rest to be able to leverage LinkedIn to get off LinkedIn. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's just a good reminder of like tapping back into like what resonates most with yourself and staying true to you. Yeah, so I love that you've imparted some great words of wisdom and bits and pieces today. So thank you so much. Any final thoughts or comments before we wrap up today's conversation?
No, this is awesome. I really appreciate you having me. And I love talking about LinkedIn, as you can imagine. So this is a great opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, well, where can people find you, Natasha, if they want to look? Obviously your information is going to be in the footer and all the rest. But yeah, please share.
LinkedIn is a great place to find me, of course, Natasha Walstra, as well as my website. It's nearpointstrategies.com.
And that's N for Nelly, FYR, N for nature, EAR. Um, so I appreciate you. It's wonderful to have a conversation with you today, Natasha. I look forward to building with you and hopefully engaging you soon to, you know, I don't know, find a way to get off LinkedIn.
I love it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Unfiltered. Like you're in another world, like you zone out. You know what I'm saying?